Les grandes personnes aiment les chiffres. Quand vous les parlez de nouveaux amis, ils ne vous questionnent jamais sur l'essentiel. Ils ne vous disent jamais
quelle est le son des savoirs, quels sont les jeux qu'ils préfèrent, est-ce qu'ils collectionnent les papillons,
et vous demandent quel achète-t-il, combien a-t-il de fleurs, combien pèse-t-il, combien gagne son père. Alors seulement, ils croient les connaître. Si vous dites aux grandes personnes,
j'ai vu une belle maison en briques roses, avec des géraniums aux fenêtres et des colombes sur les toits.
elles ne parviennent pas à s'imaginer cette maison. Il faut leur dire, je veux une maison de 5000 pounds. Alors, elles s'écrient, comme c'est joli.
Il embrasse tout le monde, même mes parents, encore plus rouges que moi. C'est des familles. Puis il tire de son sac à dos des belles montres flic-flac dans leurs étuis. Rose pour Pan, argenté pour Lucas.
C'était un petit homme aux cheveux gris, aux lèvres pincées et au regard de rapace. Moi, le bec crochu. Il s'est levé et il m'a serré la main et me présenta ses sincères condoléances comme s'il restait un couple appris au corps, mais sans cœur.
Multas pergentes et multa per augura uectus aduenio as miseras frater ad inferias, ut postremo donarem munere mortis et mutam neniquam aloquerer cinerem. Quando quidem fortuna mii tete abstulit, ipsum eu miser indigne frater adeptem mii, tum tamen interia aec, prisco quae more parentum, tradita sum triste munere ad inferias, acipe fraterno multum manantia fletum, atque in perpetuum frater aue atque vale.
Dediquemen a Selanna, cae Pleiades, Mesaide Nictes, para Vergetora, ego demona cateur.
Il avait quitté sa chambre sur la pointe des pieds, attrapé n'importe quel vêtement dans l'entrée, pris la lampe torche et galopé jusqu'au cabanon où il avait découvert Benjamin, couché en boule sur le sol gelé. Alors, il avait fait demi-tour et réveillé Thomas, qui était allé le chercher et l'avait transporté dans ses bras au parloir.
Succedeva sempre che a un certo punto uno alzava la testa e la vedeva. È una cosa difficile da capire. Voglio dire, ci stavamo in più di 1000 su quella nave, tra ricconi in viaggio, emigranti e gente strana e noi. Eppure c'era sempre uno solo, uno che per primo la vedeva. Magari era lì che stava mangiando o passeggiando semplicemente sul ponte. Magari era lì che si stava aggiustando i pantaloni. Alzava la testa un attimo, buttava un occhio verso il mare e la vedeva. Allora si inchiodava lì dov'era, gli partiva il cuore a 1000 e sempre, tutte le maledette volte, giuro, sempre si girava verso di noi, verso la nave, verso tutti e gridava l'America.
Desde el fondo del pasillo, de mi pasillo más querido, mi abuela Frasca, mi tía Cipriana y yo vigilábamos al atardecer los amores lánguidos de Florentino y Cipriana. Nos sentábamos en sillas bajas de paja en la entrada del corral y ellos se ponían en la puerta entornada de la calle. Cipri dentro de la casa y Floren al otro lado del umbral. Esto fue en Alburquerque, hacia 1950, que es tanto como decir que en el lejano país de entonces.
En aquellos tiempos, el cortejo amoroso tenía mucho protocolo y en él participaba toda la familia, y los allegados y hasta los vecinos, aunque siempre las mujeres mucho más que los hombres. Ellas eran las que concertaban las voluntades y vigilaban a los novios, y los hombres solo aparecían al final, cuando ya el compromiso era seguro y la boda a la vista. De modo que allí estábamos nosotros vigilando aquellos amores todavía primerizos. Oscurecía, sí, pero aún quedaba mucho para la llegada plena de la noche.
La casa era muy grande y destartalada, con patios y traspatios, con corrales, con huertas, con árboles frutales, con desvanes polvorientos y habitaciones clausuradas en ruinas con bóvedas y rincones oscuros, donde perduraban los ecos, ya muy débiles, de ruidos antiguos, voces, risas y rumores, y llantos de muertos muy antiguos también.
When she awoke the next morning, at just before 6, the details of her evening with the barber seemed weirdly out of reach. On the other side of the window, the sun was already blazing. But of the night that had passed, she retained only a muddle of echoes and impressions, noise and laughter, a glass in her hand. Apart from that, she felt quite clear-headed, unnatural well, in fact. She knew that she had drank more than she ought to have, but she seemed for the moment so unharmed, that she began to grow slightly complacent. Weren't there certain people with particularly sturdy constitutions who couldn't stand large amounts of alcohol without ill effect? She must be one of those. But only a few minutes later, as the factory whistles went off, the luster of her well-being was beginning to cloud. The light at the edge of the curtains was bothering her. She needed the lavatory again. She wanted another glass of water. She felt as hollow as though she hadn't eaten anything in days. But when she attempted to sit upright, her bed, like a beast, came back to life, and her insides gave such a short plunge that she thought for a moment that she might be sick.
The words were so unlike any of the ones that Frances had been expecting to hear that for a moment she could hardly make sense of them. Outside, the day had darkened. She was aware of rain, in a sudden shower producing a sound like rapid drumming on a flat-let squirrely roof below her window. As the shower eased and the drumming slowed, she put a hand across her eyes. Lillian said, "I'm so sorry." "How sure are you?" "I'm sure, Francis. It's nearly a month over its time." "You couldn't simply be late?" "I'm never late. You know I'm not. And I feel different." "Different how?" "I don't know. Tired. Just different." Francis lowered her hand and gazed into Lillian's face. She did look different, she realized. She had looked different ever since she had returned from her holiday, perhaps even since before that. She was changed in some indefinable physical way.
When Leonard returned from work that evening, he came almost immediately downstairs again, pulling his head around the kitchen door and gazing in with a guilty expression. His brow was marked, as usual, by the line of his bowler hat, but his face was pale, the whites of his eyes looking dingy as a result, and the ends of his moustache were drooping. Could Frances spare him a minute? She nodded, and he edged into the room, keeping one hand behind his back, awkwardly. "I've come to beg your pardon," he said, "for my behavior last night. I had a bit too much to drink, and I let myself get carried away. I said a lot of things I shouldn't have. It was unforgivable of me, but I hope you'll take this, and say no hard feelings." There was a dulcet rattle as he brought round his arm. He had chocolates for her, the box done up with a pink satin ribbon, the lid with a picture of a ballerina on it. She looked at it in acute embarrassment. "You didn't have to buy me sweets, Leonard." "Well, I wanted to get you something, and the garden's full of flowers, so I knew roses were no good. And I bet you don't treat yourself to chocolates very often, do you?" "It isn't me you ought to be apologizing to, in any case. It's Lillian." To her surprise, he colored slightly. "I know."
Francis said he could help himself. He went upstairs for his dinner, and when he reappeared at just before 8, his jacket was off, his collar and tie were removed, and his sleeves were rolled nearly to his armpits. But this time Lillian was with him. She sat on the bench beneath the linden tree, watching him spread out a square of oilskin and begin to take the mower apart. When his hands became too greasy for him to light a cigarette, she got the packet out of his pocket and lit one for him. Francis saw it all from the drawing room window while her mother picked chocolates from the ballerina box. "Won't you have one at all, Francis, after Mr. Barber went to so much trouble? I feel quite a glutton, eating all by myself." But no, she wouldn't eat a chocolate. She couldn't relax into her mending either. She was too conscious of Lillian, there at the end of the garden, in her white blouse with the touches of violet at the collar and the cuffs. But could she be imagining it? She had the sense that Lillian was conscious of her. She didn't once look back at the house. She watched as Leonard worked the spanners, nodding in an encouraging way at the bits of machinery he displayed to her.
Thank God for the chamber pot. She managed to fix it from under the bed, to squat giddily over it, to scurry back between the sheets. Now her heart was thudding as if it would burst. She didn't understand it. Could she have eaten something bad at Mrs. Playfair's? Queasily, she thought over the meal. The soup, the sole, the chicken, the pudding, the cheese, the condiment. The memory of the glass of green liquor made Vi leap into her mouth. But what she tasted was gin and lemonade and black cigarettes. And gradually but recently, like a series of bloated corpses surfacing in murky water, gradually the evening in the barber's room came back to her. She remembered reclining in the easy chair with a glass in one hand and a fag in the other. She remembered pausing with her fingers over Mr. Barber's box of cigarettes, gazing up at him, practically fluttering her eyelashes. I had the idea you didn't approve of ladies smoking. She recalled singing blah 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 black sheep at the top of her lungs. She recalled tittering, she recalled bellowing, she recalled.
She wiped her hands on her apron and took the box at last, doing her best to find an expression that would meet the demands of the moment, trying to admire the fancy wrapper, retain a bit of dignity, and all the time, of course, remembering that one of the child's moment of a few hours before, his wife's hands an inch from her bosom, easing out that imaginary stake. He looked relieved. "Thank you. It means a lot to me that you're prepared to do that. I hope you don't think too badly of me. We had fun last night, didn't we, before I forgot my manners?" His mustache twitched as he spoke, and at the sight of his pink, wet mouth, she again felt a ripple of the dark excitement of the night before, like finding the latest loss of a gin near empty bottle. That was one current too many, however. Yes, she admitted, they had had fun, but she spoke primly, turning away, putting the chocolates down unopened, and returning to the task he had interrupted, slicing salads. For a minute or two he lingered, perhaps hoping for more from her. When nothing came, he slopped off through the open back door.
Unha noite há anos eu comezara a ler, nun deses infolios vetustos, un capítulo intitulado Brexa das almas, e caíndos nunha solencia grata, cando este período singular se me destacou do tom neutro e apagado da página, con un relevo dunha medalla de ouro nova brillando sobre un tapete escuro, copiou textualmente.
No fundo da China existe un mandarín máis rico que todos os reis que a fábula ou a historia contan. Dela nada coñeces, nem o nome, nem o semblante, nem a seda que se veste. Para que tu herdes os seus cabedais infidáveis, basta con que toques esa campiña posta a teu lado sobre un libro.
Ele soltará apenas un suspiro nese confín da Mongolia. Será entón un cadáver, e tu verás a teus pés máis oro do que podes soñar a ambición de un ávaro. Tu que me lés e és un home mortal, tocará a tua campaíña